to the involvement of retirement homes. For a week, it has been organization because you need to time it, you need to schedule it. Be careful that the families do not meet.
Amazonians, pledge our loyalty. Presence to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Our legends to the hero who bowed the lonely gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in our nation, flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
Fellow Amazonians, fellow Southern Cameroonians, dear people. Today is the 22nd of May 2020. We indeed have the best national anthem in the whole wide world. When I listen to that, when our people listen to that special anthem, it speaks into our future. Revolutionary greetings from our leaders, President Sisiko Ayoktabe and Vice President Comrade Daphne Yerima with our entire cabinet. I would like to begin the message of today with a message of hope. When Moses sent his servants to go work, they came back saying they met giants. That in the sight of the giants, they were like crickets. But what these failed to do was they didn't check with the giants what the giants saw. Maybe if they checked with the giants what they saw, the giants would have told them that they saw mountains, insurmountable mountains. The same people who saw themselves like crickets had victory after victory when it was time and they started believing in themselves. Fellow Amazonians, dear people, we are giants. We are giants of the truth. We are giants for justice. We are giants for freedom. Let no one ever fool you that we are too small. It is not true. The strongest countries in this world are not the largest countries. Look at Israel. Look at Israel in the midst of huge populated countries with thousands, if not millions, of military personnel. But small Israel has stood the time of test to tell us Amazonians that so long as you stand with destiny, you can never be defeated. Some say we can't do it. I come here today to tell you that they're lying. They are lying. Do not accept their lie. Are we going through pain? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But mark you, fellow Amazonians, dear people on ground zero in the diaspora, where there is no pain, there is no gain. Where there is no pain, there is no gain. You know, when we conquered fear, we knew the brutal occupier who made a decision in 1972 not to go away because of our petrol will not just go. Yes, it is true that we did not see Yaoundé turning their brutal guns on us and seeing us like animals. But the one thing we knew was that we were going to fight. And fighting, we are fighting. Winning, we are winning. Because we have conquered fear. I tell you today, my dear people, to choose fighting over choosing to surrender. Because this is an ordained generation. And surrendering is not in our vocabulary. I ask you to choose pain. Because pain in victory is sweeter than pain in regret. Pain in victory is sweeter than pain in regret. It takes courage to win. Yes, it takes lots and lots of courage to win. Think about any athlete. If you run, you need to train hard. When others are sleeping, you need to be running. When others are eating, you need to be starving. You need to punish the body. You need to train your mind to be resistant. You need to tell yourself not to give up until victory has come. And so long as the day of the race has not arrived, giving up is a no-no. I would like to share with you, fellow Amazonians, a story of a great athlete who broke a very important record before 1954. Before 1954, it was impossible for anybody to believe that you could run a mile in 4 minutes. Nobody had broken the record. Nobody had. But Roger Banzer in 1954 broke that record and did it in less than 4 minutes. When he did it, the world said, oh my God, it can be done. You know what? From that day till today, more than 20,000 athletes have beaten that record. And there's a message that comes out of that story to us Amazonians. Just look around you and say, is there any African country that decided that this is the end of slavery? We are not going to ever allow anybody to dictate our destiny. And because of that bold decision they are afraid today, just look around you. Everywhere around us, we've got success cases. We like picking specific cases that will inspire us. Look at Eritrea. Look at South Africa. Look at South Sudan. They did it. They did it. If they could do it, why not us? Why not us? Why not us? Those born out of negativity, including the international media, would tell us, look at South Sudan, they're all at war. It's not going to happen with Amazonia. It's most certainly not going to happen with Amazonia. You know why? The one thing we have that most African countries did not have when they got liberated was a lot of their people were not educated. It is true that there are lots of divisions in our struggle. But show me one struggle that did not have such division lines. We have to, however, agree that most of the divisions in our midst are unfortunate, are avoidable, and those that are pushing ahead with these, we keep saying just go look into the mirror. But to stay on course, look at Namibia. Just look at Namibia. Look at Namibia. That is a success case. They only had independence a few years ago. They didn't have independence in 1960. Look at Rwanda. Rwanda beats a lot of Western African countries in terms of technology. So what will stop us if only we have the right attitude? Ladies and gentlemen, There were two friends who worked for a company. And when the tides were going down, they were both laid off. This is a story I borrowed from a great mentor of mine, Les Brown. And as they got laid off, they went around the city in the US looking for work. Months after months, they couldn't find work. One of them gave up, went home, winded on the sofa, and watched TV all day in, day out, and grew fat. But the other did not give up. He kept trying to get work and could not find work. And boldly went into a company one day and said, listen, I'm very skilled and very smart. If you give me a job in this company, I'll move your company forward. And they said, but we have no jobs here. And the guy said, I don't want a salary. I just want to volunteer. And when the manager heard volunteer, he never heard that. He was like, what kind of man is this? He recruited the guy. You know what? Barely weeks afterwards, just barely weeks afterwards, one position was available in the company, and guess who got it? He got it. Because over the time while he was with the company, he had showed great courage, great character. He had such a great attitude that when they looked around, he was recommended even before the position was advertised. So to fellow Amazonians who are offering voluntary service for the liberation of our people, mark you that you're not doing that because you want any form of gratification or payment, because people don't get paid during a revolution. No, it doesn't happen. But when we get to Boya, just when we get to Boya, we will look back at history. And it is important that whatever we do, let us remember that there is a revolutionary book up in somewhere. People can see, they can hear, they can feel us. And so the question is, on what side of the Amazonian history do you want to be recorded? On the side of those that united our people, made them stronger, and quickened our liberation into Boya? Or on the side of those who spent their days calling names, blackmailing others, and all of those things? I really don't want to waste my time talking about it again. The appeal, fellow Amazonians, is that our liberation is unstoppable. Let no one tell you that we cannot do it. We will do it. But for us to do it, we need to kill the negative attitude. You see, when your attitude improves, your altitude will be higher. Our victory is in our attitude. And so we call on all leaders, on all platforms, to just look at the attitude of their organizations. Look at the attitude of their leadership. Look at the attitude of the membership. And let us just get the Amazonian attitude of 1959, of 1960, when great Amazonians went to an election and knew that even if the winner was to come out with just one vote, there was going to be peaceful transfer of power. That is the Amazonia we all should be fighting for. That is the Amazonia we will get. It will be impossible for anybody to dictate themselves in Boya. You know why? Because we are all liberators. And there's almost nobody in Amazonia, almost nobody I know of, who has not suffered the brutality of the Yaoundé regime, who has not had family members slaughtered like chickens, who has not had family compounds roasted down, who has not had family members living in bushes or having run away in the night because they heard that Yaoundé's brutal military was coming. Fellow Amazonians, to those of us, to those of you, to some of our brothers and sisters who have chosen to be traitors, those whose numbers and pictures we have seen, can you hate yourself so much that you decide to join the enemy to fight against your own liberation? It is unheard of. It is unheard of. Let us reason this together. If I want to marry your daughter, then when I am coming to your compound, I would have to show you the best of my attitude. Because if I show you a stinking attitude, one of which is slapping your daughter right in front of you, even before the bride price is paid, you must be a very desperate father to send your child in such a slaughterhouse. And this is what Yaoundé is doing to us. Yaoundé is saying, I don't need Ambazonia. I don't need you guys. You don't exist. Yaoundé is burning anything in the sea. Yaoundé is shooting anything in the sea. Yaoundé is refusing to sit on the table and talk about your liberation, choosing the extreme means of uncivilization. And what's your choice? You want to be an ambassador for Yaoundé. The people of Ambazonia, in a very special way, would like to thank this wonderful human being, the wonderful human being, a citizen of La République du Cameroon, Jean-Pierre Dupont. Jean-Pierre Dupont, whose video has been making waves on all our platforms. In the video, he's seated in front of a library and putting on a red tie. We want to thank you, sir. We want to thank you because we've been looking for partners like you. We've been looking for honest human beings like you. We've been looking for citizens of French Cameroon who have the fear of God and who have the fear of the human flesh, which has been wasted by La Republic, to come out and say, I do not care what Yaoundé is going to do to me, but I'm going to say the truth. And in the video, thank God, this is not an Ambazonian. It is a citizen of French Cameroon, an educated one. He's telling Mr. Biya and his entire cabinet. He's telling the French Cameroon Parliament. He's telling his fellow brothers and sisters, that's French Cameroonians, citizens of La République du Cameroon, that guys, open your minds. Open your minds. The government of this country has deceived you for too long. Ambazonia was an independent state. The people of Ambazonia have a right to fight for their state, and the right thing for Mr. Paul Biya to do is to sit on the table, not killing them every day. We call on Francophone or citizens of French Cameroon to join this brother of theirs and speak the gospel of truth. You must remember that for over 4 years, we have banned any Southern Cameroonian, any Ambazonian calling themselves Anglophones. You are not Anglophones. You are Ambazonians. You were Anglophones until the 17th of January 2017, when Barrister Bala and Dr. Fontaine were arrested. From that day, we took our destiny in our own hands, and this journey we will finish. It is unfortunate if you don't know who you are and you want other people to define you. If you define who you are and you just keep doing it and ignore them, ignore the international community, ignore the paid media, someday they will call you who you are. Do not forget that when we started this revolution, the international community joined Yaoundé to call us terrorists. When Yaoundé realized that was not working, they gradually petered down to join the international community, who started calling us secessionists. When we educated them that we are not secessionists, it makes no sense, because we were never part of La Republic on the day of independence. They started calling us secessionists, or separatists rather. They started calling us separatists. But who are we? Who are we? Fellow Ambazonians, fellow Southern Cameroonians, we are freedom fighters. We are revolutionists. We are liberators. Our people have suffered enough, and God ordained our generation to take our people across the Red Sea into our promised land. And Yaoundé's got to know that the poisoning of our people, the killing of our people, the arresting of our people will not help them. It will not. I have always wanted to share this with Yaoundé for free. Every time you kill one Amazonian, you radicalize the whole family, the whole quarter, the whole village, and the whole Amazonia. You'll make a mistake every time you kill our people. Every time. Guns only make us more angry. Killing not only infuriates us, it just reminds us of your wickedness over the last 6 decades. So to those in the cartel in Yaoundé, get to your master if he is still alive and advise him. We want him on the table. We want him on the negotiation table. It must be out of Cameroon. It must. And every Amazonian in their detention centers must be free because prisoners do not negotiate. And the head of our negotiation team is unquestionable. He's the leader of our revolution, Sisi Kwa Yoktabe. He must be on the table as a free man. It must be there if negotiations are to take place. Dear people, I now move to Kondenge. The situation in the Kondenge prisons remains very unfortunate. You have followed up news. You have followed up news about Barrister Shufai. You followed up news about Barrister Shufai. Barrister Shufai has been in an extremely bad situation for quite a long period of time. It took the cry of fellow Amazonians. It took the cry of fellow Amazonians to get Barrister Shufai released from a very painful situation in his detention center in the Kondenge Principal Prison, where he was taken to hospital. And in the hospital, unfortunately, the prison superintendent decided to carry the wickedness of this government by preventing the barrister from the best of treatment. The facts are there. We have raised it with the necessary international organizations and insisted that the case of Barrister Shufai compounds the exact situation in the prisons in Yaoundé and the prisons across that country. We have it on record that of all our Naira 10 leaders, at least 7 of them in the last 3 weeks have been seriously sick. Of all Amazonian detainees in Cameroon's prisons, about 80 of them in the last 4 months have been sick. And what's been most sickening about it is that the prison authorities have got taken medication if they can, without a test, without any diagnosis. We are scared for the lives of our people. The care on COVID-19 in the jails, it's horrible. We have raised alarm bells with the international community. We call on all good-meaning Amazonians to raise alarm bells with the West, with African countries, with human rights bodies, with legal institutions. And let us use the case of Barrister Shufai Bless to ensure the world knows that the inhuman treatment provided by La Republic to our people in their detention centers, our political prisoners, is illegal by all conventions, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All detainees, all have a right to decent medical care, exactly the same like what people out of detention cells do have. So, fellow Amazonians, it is our time to stand up and fight for people. Those brothers and sisters of ours in the detention centers, they are there simply because they're Amazonians. There's no crime they've committed. Do take note that if they were not there, it might have been me, it might have been you. So to all of you who have contributed in one way or another to give them medication, to give food, to clothe them, may God richly bless you. We equally received an update on a fellow brother, Ekelenge Martins. This update comes from the Amazonian prisoners of conscience. And they say for some weeks now, the terrorist military of La Republique du Cameroon has been extracting our political prisoners of conscience to their torture chambers for questioning. That it began with the extraction of Fong Kalemba, F. Armstrong, and Simplis, who spent the night at the Yaoundé Central Police Station under severe interrogation. Then came the extraction order of Anyang Jean Austin, who equally spent at the Central Police Station under interrogation. As if that was not enough, the commissaire du gouvernement or military prosecutor at the Kangaroo Military Tribunal, Colonel Ngono Tadi, signed another extraction order for Ekelenge Martin since Monday, the 17th of May 2020. This Friday, May 22nd, 2020, makes the 5th day since Ekelenge Martin was extracted from the Yaoundé Central Prison for yet to be known motives. Comrades sent lawyers to comb various cells in Yaoundé in vain for 3 to 4 days. Said Judicial Police Station, Central Police Station, and the National Gendarmerie at Kondenge after they were informed he was there. Amazonian prisoners of war later met with authorities and demanded for the extraction order that took him out of prison. To their greatest surprise, they were sending their lawyers to the wrong place. Martin Ekelenge Esela Echa was indeed held at the National Gendarmerie Efolen at the request of the commissaire du gouvernement. The interim government demands that Asele Lacha Martin be sent back to meet his peers at the Yaoundé Central Prison or be released, because there's no reason and there would never be a justification for holding Amazonians in La Republique cells. The interim government demands the release of all prisoners of conscience being held in the dungeons of La Republique du Cameroon for trumped up charges. So, fellow Amazonians, dear people, when they asked these authorities, they indicated that they held their comrades for investigation. What investigation? What investigation? We want to insist that the liberation of the people of Amazonia is a project that is rooted in our hearts. Pain will not kill it. Fear imposed by an external force will not kill it. The president said once that you can cage a man, but you cannot cage the lion in him. You cannot cage his quest for freedom. We ask Yaoundé to do the right thing. We would equally like to thank the SCBC team for the great work they are doing. SCBC now has a news desk and will be reading news to Amazonians on a daily basis. So for all developments on Ground Zero, please always do well to send news items to the SCBC team. The SCBC numbers, as well as the email addresses, always circulate on their platforms, or go to Facebook or Google, just in case you are not very sure. Fellow Amazonians, we equally are doing really good work in the light of collaboration. And there's some good news that will be announced in the next few days. I would like to allow the competent authorities to make that particular announcement. On the situation on ground zero, we would like to thank these brave, young Amazonian warriors who sacrificed their lives and families, who sacrificed everything and taking on the responsibility to defend homeland. Nelson Mandela took up the responsibility to defend homeland, and today South Africa is free. Fidel Castro took up the responsibility to defend homeland, and today Cuba is free. Kwame Nkrumah, the father of African unity, took up the responsibility to defend homeland, and today Ghana is free. Patrice Lumumba took up the responsibility to defend homeland, and today the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, is free. Fellow Amazonians, I call on all of you to be Thomas Sankaras. I am Thomas Sankara. I have the blood lineage of the great Albert Moore, the great Chief Ayamba, and many more. These are warriors who, in the midst of pain, who knew that they could be killed at any moment, choose to stand the test of time. They lived a good life fighting for your liberation and my liberation. We celebrate our father, Pa Fongalafo, who recently released that wonderful book. I hope you've had a copy. Pa Fongalafo is what you call a prison graduate in any democratic country. He has gone to jail so many times, so many times, because of his conviction for a free Amazonia. In fact, Professor Anyangwe calls him one of the greatest Amazonians in our time, who's paid the biggest price because of our liberation. Paradise lost, Powerful says, Amazonia is my paradise, and nobody will ever take it away from me. Fellow Amazonians, order the book. Order the book. When I was informed that Pa did not only want to educate us through the sales of that book, but Pa wanted that the sales of that book would raise the necessary income to take care of IDPs, to take care of refugees. I felt tears dropping off my cheeks. This is a man who's serving life jail term because of crime. Let my people go. Cut off the chains from my people. And even in that painful situation, Pa does not see his pain. He sees your pain and my pain. He sees the pain of our brothers and sisters, refugees and IDPs who are suffering everywhere around the world. Fellow people, if there's one book you must buy, I urge you, buy that book. Buy a book, it is the right thing to do. We would equally want to condemn French Cameroon in the strongest of terms. We note pitifully the sentencing in the heart of COVID-19, the coronavirus attack, when almost all countries are focused on saving lives. Our own brother, our own comrade, one who has been locked almost 4 dozen times. Almost 4 dozen times or more. The one and only Reverend Betty Kissap. Yaounde's craziness is not ending. Reverend Kissap, who appealed an illegal initial pronouncement on sentencing, had his sentencing doubled or more than doubled to 25 years, and a fine of 5 million to be paid away from one. Fellow Ambazonians tell Reverend Kisab and all Ambazonians in the detention to stand strong. You are not criminals. You are political prisoners. You are political prisoners. You are liberators. You are freedom fighters. We will fight for you. We will stand by you. We will continue to defend you until the last ounce of blood in us. Yaoundé doesn't have enough jails to lock all of us. So unfortunately, the innocent, the unlucky ones get picked up. But rest assured that the spirit of freedom is alive. Don't be discouraged. Courage, brother. Courage. Courage. And that goes to all our brothers and sisters that are wallowing in La Republic detention cells. And please do remember that we know that all Ambazonians are prisoners. You know who are the biggest prisoners? They are enablers. They are infiltrators. They are blackmailers. They are those that work with Yaoundé. They are the biggest prisoners. They are the biggest prisoners because the nights are very long. So we call on Ambazonians to stay the course. We will win. That's unnegotiable. Turning our attention, fellow comrades, to these brave boys again. We want to thank you. We want to salute you. You are freedom fighters. That's why we call you Restoration Force, because your agenda is to restore the dignity of our people. We celebrate you. We call on Amazonians to provide all the necessary support to these, because these fellow comrades of ours, they are not different from our IDPs. They are not different from our refugees. They are not different from those that are in detention centers, because they have given up their careers, their jobs, their families for your liberation and my liberation. It is a revolutionary responsibility to stand behind General RK and all generals in our liberation war and all fighters. Keep them strong until we cross the finishing line. Let our civilians be each other's keeper. Fellow fighters, fellow restoration forces, the one and biggest enemy we have on ground zero, which we know we are winning, is this evil called kidnapping and ransom taking. You are the police of our communities. As our liberators, you have to stay hungry if that will get you to protect our people. This evil of kidnapping and ransom taking is being committed by evil forces in our midst. We started shouting that that must stop for almost a year now. And thank God in many communities this has stopped. In communities where our people are still being kidnapped and ransom is taken, we are asking the community members to work with the restoration forces and make sure that these bad elements are smoked out. Kidnapping is a devil against our revolution. We cannot do this to our people. We just cannot do this to our people. So please, please and please and please, to anybody listening to us, anybody who kidnaps and takes ransom from our people is working for La Republic. Those must be rooted out. Fellow Amazonians, your interim government decided that because La Republic de Cameroon learned that 20th May cannot be celebrated even in their country because of COVID-19, we felt it would be immoral for us to lock down the country for no just cause. So we did not lock down Amazonia over the 20th May period. We allowed you, our people, to go out and carry out your economic activities. But we appeal to you to keep Monday's ghost towns holy. Monday's ghost towns is the biggest weapon that La Republic is so scared of. Every time La Republic wants to tell the international community that things are getting back to normal, the international community would ask them what is happening to Monday, and they talk with water in their mouth. Because the only answer they can give the international community is that Monday is ghosted. Ambazonians are united in purpose to tell La Republic every Monday that it has no authority over them. Ambazonians don't need guns to do that. Ambazonians don't need bombs to do that. Ambazonians just need to stay away from the streets. And so long as the streets are empty, Yaoundé gets the message it must go. So fellow people, you have at least a small contribution to make to liberate yourself so that this slavery can stop. And that is to make sure that no matter what happens, you stay away from Monday. Our people on Ground Zero declared that Monday should always be ghosted. We as a leadership, we follow the instructions of our people on the ground. It is important that we continue to do that, because when we do that, Yaoundé gets the message, its back is being broken, and trust us, not long from now, Yaoundé will surrender. They have no choice. On the COVID-19 outbreak, fellow Ambazonians, dear people, the prevalence of COVID-19 in the Cameroons, and when I talk the Cameroons, I'm talking of the two countries, Ambazonia and our neighbors, La République du Cameroon, is very high by normal standards. It's partly very high because of the irresponsible behavior of the French government that continues to illegally occupy our country. The irresponsible behavior means that when the COVID-19 gets into any quarter, it spreads like wildfire. If we do not have testing equipment in those quarters, almost everybody there will do it. Let me share with you what happens in some African countries. The government sends teams to go quarter by quarter, village by village, town by town, and test almost everybody. We are part of such an evil alliance. This is history. Their own citizens are stuck in Kuwait and in many other countries. They cannot even bring them home. These are the same people, demons us, who want us to unite with them. So fellow people, COVID-19 remains very dangerous. The interim government, in partnership with many movements in our struggle, AGOVC, the consortium, Southern Cameroon European Women, Southern Cameroonian Worldwide Women, SCAWOL, Ambazonian Prisoners of Conscience, Ambazonian Prisoners of War, and other partners, we came together and dedicated this week to talk about COVID-19. We encourage you to watch SCBC regularly, because knowing is 50% staying safe. Most importantly, stay home. If you must go out, wear a mask. Wash your hands regularly for at least 20 seconds with soap. Use sanitizers, and increasingly pick the necessary tricks that keep you safe. We are fighting so that our people can live in a land of milk and honey. It will be a sad day in history when there is liberation and most of our people could not be saved, because people like us and the many comrades on different platforms could not bring this free message that COVID-19 is dangerous, and let us be careful. Let us be careful. Let's avoid going to bars. If you must go to a cry-die, put your mask. If there's a way you can not go, that's better, because it spreads even wider when you are in crowds. Now, turning to the question of funding the revolution. Is that a point to preach on again? It's absolutely no. from the interim government, the message that we continue to preach is buy your bonds. Fellow Amazonians, when America's war of independence went into a height like ours, when it was the heat of the moment, the American liberators released freedom bonds, and Americans that wanted a free America bought bonds. So, fellow Amazonians, I'm proud to be a bond holders. I don't just have a bond, I have a number of bonds. It is good to be proud to be a bond holder. Buy a self-defense bond, buy a humanitarian bond, buy a diplomatic bond. The reason why these many categories are being issued by the Bank of Amazonia is because we have different interests. We just have the sad situation in Kondenge. We need to take care of the detainees. Please plow some money into the bonds. The Bank of Amazonia governor has been presenting on many platforms. He has clearly shown just how transparent and hardworking the institution is. The least you can do is ask yourself, what have I done for my country? Don't ask what the bank has done for you. Ask what you can do for your country by investing in the bank. The bank made it very clear in the report that almost all the money they have raised is going down to ground zero. Let us invest in our revolution. We believe as the interim government, it is the responsible thing to call on responsible Amazonians who are on responsible platforms with responsible leaders who do not imagine figures, but who literally tell our people the truth, who gather the little they have and they send it down to. It is our responsibility to encourage you to invest in those platforms. For all of these other platforms who tell you how they're making all the magic, congratulate them and tell them to show evidence on ground zero. Fellow Amazonians, remember that we are fighting for one Amazonia. There will only be one country called Amazonia. There will be no such country as this leader's Amazonia and that leader's Amazonia. It would only be one Amazonia. So if they truly are raising the money, thank God. Put it on the ground. Put it on the ground. When the money is there, we will see it. There are movements that when they spend, we see. We don't just see, we see action. So we want to carry on from a statement by Comrade Daphne Yorima at the end of the year and during his first anniversary speech, that we want to decongest our environment with all the pollution. We want to focus. Let us stop the noise. Our liberation will not be won on social media. It will be won on the ground. It will be won on the ground when all Amazonians become patriotic and they decide to truly support, initiatives that move us forward. Our belief is, so long as you're doing something good for the revolution, I want to paraphrase from the governor of the Bank of Amazonia, that we do not really care who we fund. We ask, will your initiative move the struggle one step ahead? And so long as the answer is yes, you're guaranteed you're going to get our funds. So let us fund the bank. Let the leaders get into their communities and raise the money. Let us put the money there so that we can continue to assert our authority. It is only through proper funding that a journey to Boya will be shorter. Fellow Amazonians, dear people, this is a journey of no return. When I started this journey, I tell you what I did. I went in front like a soldier going to the war to win, and I turned back and bumped the bridge. There is no turning back. There is no turning back. So we are in the tide. We have a choice to either sink or swim. But I declare very strongly, because you need that we will swim to victory. We will definitely swim to victory. We as a people need to choose whether we are going to follow what I call eyesight, or we are going to follow what I call mind sight. It's a war. If you follow eyesight, then the pain of today dictates your thinking and your actions. But I know that La Republic's babbling is meant to scare the hell out of us and get us give away our most cherished, freedoms. And that will never happen. So I refuse to see the pain of now, and I choose to tune my mind to see the glory of tomorrow. And I ask all Amazonians to see the tomorrow when we will have our country, when we will decide for ourselves, when we will dictate how our public health systems will be, how our educational systems will be, when we'll dictate who will be our leaders, and what kind of parliamentary or presidential system we will have. I come here to tell you that it is possible. Never mind La Republic. It is possible. The international community is with us. They are with us. They are with us. What we need to do when we go out talking to the world is we need to expose La Republic's carnage in our country. When we talk the pain, because our people are mourning, our mothers, brothers, sisters are mourning, our fathers, we must start talking victory as well. We must make the international community know that we know our destiny. Our future is in our hands, and that victory is a guarantee. You need to tell yourself that. Fellow comrades, fellow Amazonians, in this resistance, we all are like a seed. The anger inside you is like a seed. You have a choice to either fertilize it or kill it. If you fertilize it with a positive mindset, without a doubt, that tree is going to grow. That tree will grow, it will blossom, and the same people who had dismissed you would pass by, they would harvest a flower from the tree, and they will remember that this tree represents the resistance of the Amazonian people. So let us fertilize that seed. That seed is a seed that cannot be killed. Ever heard of the child carried by the young girl, scared of the parents, and the more medication the young took to flush out the child, the more the child. That is Amazonia. We cannot be killed. We cannot be killed. So I encourage you, fellow Amazonians, dear comrades, to become more positive, to weed away the noise, weed away the distraction. Let us choose our battles. We are following up an investigation concerning the church on Ground Zero. We like making our pronouncements when we have the facts. But we have this to say, that as we strive to liberate our people, let every action of ours be responsible. When we are more responsible, the international community will take us more seriously. We will be able to be the kind of partners we're looking for. And, of course, La Republic will be called to order, and that will happen soon. But we have a part to play. Do take note that no one is responsible for our success except us. It is in our hands. The choice is ours. On behalf of the interim government, on behalf of your president, Sisiko Ayok Tabe, whom you cannot wait to see out as a liberated man, after all other Amazonians are out, on behalf of our vice president, Comrade Daphne Yerima, on behalf of all patriotic Amazonians, I want you to remember this. The greatest revenge in life is success. The greatest revenge in life is success. Let us band together. Let us strengthen our collaboration. Let us command Ground Zero, and let us flush La Republic out so that our people can move into the true land of glory where they can dare to hope again. God bless you. God bless Amazonia. Long live our beautiful country, and short live the struggle. Thank you.
Hail this land of glory, we the Amazonians pledge our loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us our freedom. Allegiance to the hero who bowed the lonely diablo. Bazan